All right, everybody, we're back. We missed a week. It was inevitably going to happen. It's fine. We'll get back on track. It is the Draft Degenerates podcast. Just Shane and Dalton here today. Jake not feeling so great. Probably I shouldn't be here either with the week I've had covering two different teams for agencies and today of all days we decided to drop huge news with the Dolphins, of course, with the Jalen Waddle trade. We'll talk about that a little bit, of course, when we get to our mock draft today, because now the Dolphins have two first-round picks and the Broncos have none, so that just adds to the number of teams that are in that position this year. So, but before we jump in here, Dalton, we're going to talk about free agency a good bit as we go through the mock, because it's going to kind of it's going to have effects on what we're doing, obviously, and what we think these teams might do in the draft now. Overall take, though, on like this free agency, kind of anything like that really stood out to you that was surprising, or things that you think you want to talk about before we actually get into the mock here?
I think the big one is, the fact that like how many teams are just having zero value on first round picks this year in a draft that seems like a pretty good class. I think a lot of teams appear to be in win now mode. Seems like the biggest thing. Like, I think the league seems pretty wide open. And like, for example, the Broncos today decided like they might be Jalen Waddle away from a Super Bowl, which I don't know if I agree with that, but it doesn't hurt. I still think they don't have, I think they still have holes at running back and tight end, but
Hey, listen. Don't disrespect the backfield trio of one-leg J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey in year two, and Jaleel McLaughlin, I believe, was re-signed as well. Don't discredit the three-headed
year
backfield.
Year two R.J. Harvey, who's also, 27?
Okay, listen, dog. Don't they haven't replaced him yet, so give me some hope, okay? Let me believe that he's going to be better in year two. I actually thought he was, like, overall, like, the yards per carry and like the efficiency wasn't quite there, but the explosiveness was there. The pass catching ability was there. Like, I think that he can be really good for them. I wish they had more of a bruiser that was like not going to get hurt. Probably that would be pretty sick. But maybe they'll still find one of those later in the draft. But yeah, the whole Jalen Waddle of it all. Since that's obviously the big news from today, we'll talk about free agency as a whole as we kind of go through the mock, like I said. But that one is interesting to me because I think he's the type of receiver that they probably need to add to that group. But you did have to obviously give up a first-round pick. Now it's a late first-round pick. No guarantee any receiver you take there is going to be even close to as good as Jalen Waddle. I mean, he is like, and I looked this up beforehand because I was curious. Right now, since he was drafted in 2021, he has the 10th most receiving yards in the NFL since being drafted. Like, since that time period. So he has been super productive. Been banged up a little bit here and there, but not missed any significant amounts of time. He is definitely a player that I think can be that like true number one for them in this type of offense. Now, is he going to be necessarily enough to get them over the hump? I think that comes down to, one, does the defense still play at the level it's played at the past couple of years? And is Bo Nix at least a tad bit better than he was his first 2 years in the league? Which that's the bigger question for me. I wonder if he's maybe maxed out as what he is, which is kind of the book on him coming out as a 6-year player or whatever he was. Like, we'll see about that. But this at least gives them a chance to be more explosive on offense consistently. So,
for sure.
Yeah, so that's obviously the big news from today. And we'll talk about that because the Dolphins, again, will have pick 30 now as well. So we'll get to play around with what they're going to do. And I have some thoughts on what I think they're going to do versus what I would do. But we'll get into that when we get to their pick later. I think my biggest takeaway from free agency is that, like, and you have it here in my little bio thing here, no better job than being a free agent in the NFL. Some really interesting, I'll call them, contracts given out in free agency, as there always is, right? And honestly, some of the biggest ones are ones that, like, usually I'm like, okay, I can't get behind that. This year, like, a lot of the big ones, I'm like, I can at least see the rationale. Like, the Linderbaum one is a little bit iffy to me because they reset the market by, like, a lot for the Raiders, obviously. But he is a very good player. He's a really good scheme fit for Kubiak. I don't think that you're going to look at that deal in 2 or 3 years when it's up and say, like, oh, man, that was a disaster for the Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen. You might say, like, I would have liked to pay, spend less for that player, but I don't think it's going to limit them in any way, especially with how much money they already spent this year on the cap. Like, it won't be as bad as the kind of the years go by. And then the Jalen Phillips deal with the Panthers, $30 million a year is a lot for an edge rusher that is probably at best like a 1B type and also one that misses a lot of time.
Yeah.
But the Panthers need pass rush so badly. And I understand, like, Nick Scorton was good last year. I think he'll become a quality number 2. But now he doesn't have to be your number 1, right? And you don't have to go fishing in the draft again at 19, where maybe the best couple guys aren't going to be there by then, right? So I think it makes a lot of sense for them. They have the money to do it. They're trying to figure out if this team as constructed right now can actually win something. This is a good way to find that out and to try to kind of make sure the defense is better than it was.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because, like, I don't know. I mean, I think the Panthers have kind of convinced themselves that they are, like, in a Super Bowl window now with Bryce Young.
I don't know about Super Bowl. Super window, I don't even know if they necessarily think Super Bowl. I think they just want to know what this team looks like when it has enough pieces on defense and offense where they should be, like, outside of Bryce, like what he looks like, how good can they actually be with him, right?
I just mean in the sense that, like, you got Bryce Young on a rookie deal.
Yes.
For a couple more years that, like, maybe they can actually, like, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they shouldn't.
No. NFC South is tough. Like, is going for an NFC South title? Sure.
Yeah.
Going all in for, like, trying to make the Super Bowl, probably not going to happen for an NFC South team right now. Just, spoiler alert for next year.
The NFC South, I cannot wait. I'll tell you what, speaking of which, and speaking of the NFC South, the best job in football right now, if you're like a fringe of the roster quarterback right now, if I'm like a journeyman emergency quarterback, I am telling my agent, do whatever you got to do to make it happen. I want to go play for the Atlanta Falcons. I want to go be the third string quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons because there's a real chance, right? If you're like a Joe Flacco type, or I don't know. Actually, Joe Flacco would make a lot of sense with Stefanski being there.
He would.
Like, there's a good chance, in November you can take over a 5-5 Falcons team after both Michael Penix and Tua get hurt.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Probably, yeah.
And then all you got to do is go 4-3 down the stretch, and you're probably in the playoffs.
Probably.
And then you're getting a bag from somebody because you led a
playoff team. And the Falcons of all teams.
Yeah.
I get that. I actually think what they should do, the funniest thing they could possibly do, and I actually would advocate for this just because I like this player a decent bit in this class as like a dart throw. They need to complete the lefty trifecta and draft Cole Payton.
That man's not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry.
I disagree, but that's beside the point. It would be funny because 3 lefties. Hey, at least the receivers would have plenty of practice. They would never go a day without getting prepared for getting a lefty pass. There'd be no problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think there's an element of that makes sense. But also, is it mostly because I think it'd be funny? Yes. But I wouldn't doubt it.
It's hilarious. That offense is kind of loaded right now.
Kind of.
Wise. And they have very good offensive coaches. At least I think it's good offensive. Yeah. The problem is you're not going to have a healthy quarterback by Thanksgiving.
Probably not, because if Penix is ready to go by the time the season starts, he'll get banged up at some point, and then Tua will have to come in. He'll get banged up at some point, like you said, and then whoever the third quarterback is, which again, who knows who that will be by the time we get to the season. It probably doesn't matter who it is. Probably not going to be good enough to get this guy. I mean, maybe if it's a veteran like Flacco or something like that, but like I don't know. It feels like a bad situation, but hey, not the Dolphins' problem anymore. So that's all I care about. I don't have to watch them anymore.
No, instead they got Instead they gave Malik Willis a bag
for no reason.
Throw to nobody.
Yeah, which is again we'll get into it. Let's get into the mock draft here. So again, we're gonna shoot for 2 rounds. We'll see about that. We'll get at least 1 in for sure, obviously. But let's get this started here. So we'll I think we'll go like odds evens here. You can take whichever one. I think if you want to make an actual pick that matters for the Raiders, it would be evens is what you want to choose because they're picking at 36.
All right.
But if you don't care about that, then
as long
take
as you
whatever.
take David Bailey at 1.
As long as I take
Yeah.
David Bailey at 1. Well, guess what? I ain't doing that shit, Dalton. Ain't doing it.
Because why not? Then they'd have Bailey, Crosby, and Kwity Paye.
And Malcolm Kuntz.
And Tyree Wilson.
When he does that, which is, probably not as much anymore, shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they'd be great.
Offense, but although some like Max Crosby. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. But no, yeah. Do you want odds or evens there?
I'll go evens.
Evens. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Make me do the easy pick. We'll do, of course, the one pick in the mock draft so far that definitely doesn't matter. Everyone else still matters. I think there's no consensus truly yet on most of the other picks, but I think obviously here Mendoza. Now the question is, who are you taking at number 2? Now we're going to kind of do this a little bit, like focus on like kind of what we would do, but also basing some of this off of what teams have done in free agency, because that is going to instruct how some of these teams operate. So maybe like still if we're targeting a position, still the player we would take in that position, but it might move some things around compared to other mock drafts at this point a little bit. So, but where are you thinking here with the Jets at number 2?
So I'm just checking like what the Jets did in free agency here.
So yeah, if you want, let me actually pull it up because I have this here. So the Jets traded for Minka Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins for a 7th round pick, signed edges Joseph Osai and Kingsley Enagbare to deals, both 1-year deals, I believe. Or actually, no, Osai, I got a 3-year, $36 million deal, and Enagbare got a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Oh, and they got Demario Davis.
Yes, they did bring in Davis for a 2-year, $22 million deal. So mostly,
they've already gotten an off-ball line. They just invested in an off-ball linebacker
for 2 years. But again, Davis is 37, I think. So probably want to be ready to go.
I still kind of think he goes Styles here.
Just if that's where you want to go, sure.
I kind of think I don't want to give spoilers. We haven't done the linebacker show yet, but I think he's going to end up being my number 1 defensive player.
Okay, well, if that's the case, no reason not to take him here too. Then, all right.
Yep.
Let me take Styles here. Okay, so at number 3, I think in this scenario, what the Cardinals would do and what I think I might do, I'm probably taking Ruben Bain, because if he's going to be here at 3, which he's almost certainly going to be, I don't think there's any chance he's picking number 2 based on what we've seen, for a host of reasons that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think is going to be the case. I think the Cardinals should seriously consider it because, one, apparently Josh Sweat now is like not happy being there, which I guess I wouldn't be either if I was Josh Sweat.
Why would anyone want to be on the Cardinals right now?
Kind of the point, yeah. Like that's kind of until they actually make a move and decide what direction they're going, because right now it could be any number of them.
Yeah, that roster is awful. Like they're going to be picking number 1 overall next year. I would be very surprised if they weren't.
I think unfortunately, Dolphins might be trying to run for their money here.
True.
But assuming that they don't, because they signed Tyler Algier, which is a really good player, but why for this team? I don't see the point, especially when you just let James Conner come back for whatever reason. You get a nice guard in Ciamalo, but he's an older player. I don't know if he's necessarily going to move the needle too much for you. Kendrick Bourne. Okay. Not sure about that. Just not a lot going on. Also, I think Gardner Minshew went there, if I'm not mistaken, which Jacoby Brissett's already there. I think he's supposed to be. I don't know. The Cardinals are weird. I'm going to take Ruben Bain, though, if I was in this situation. I would consider Arvell Reese, too. But, again, I don't know exactly. I know he wants to play edge, and I feel like that's going to be the best position for him long term if he wants to work out as a top 3 pick. But I would probably just take the safer bet, and I think Bain's just a better player. So we'll go Bain here. Titans up here. So I know we kind of know at this point, at least it feels like from everything that's been talked about, that this man right here, Jeremiah Love, seems to be the pick that people are making here at this point. But I'm going to guess, Dalton, that you probably don't want to do that if you're the Titans.
To me, it's like the Gentry pick for the Raiders.
Right. That's
Maybe
the issue. That's the issue. Right. It's not about the player here. It's more so just like why is this team doing this?
And like you gotta protect Ward.
You do.
Like
You do.
I don't know. To me, I don't see anything wrong with just taking Maui here and calling it a day.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about whether Maui can be a full-time right tackle in the NFL long term, but even if he isn't, he's a really good player that I think is going to play on your line for a very long time somewhere. And I think in this class that puts you in a position to be a top 5 pick potentially with the way offensive linemen are just desperately needed by pretty much everybody for the most part. I have no problem with this at all either. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'm sorry. I just can't get behind taking Jeremiah Love.
It's not so much. I understand the idea that I think is that they address a lot of needs in free agency. And when I say address them, I mean they spent a absolute fuck ton of money. Let me specifically bring up because we didn't talk about it too much. Wan'Dale Robinson got entirely too much money in my opinion, but besides the point, they gave him a lot of money to come be their slot receiver. They bring in John Franklin Myers, they bring Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor for a combined almost $35 million a year, which is interesting, we'll say. They bring in Jacob Martin as an edge, and he's been a pretty solid backup edge for a lot of teams. They've addressed a lot of their biggest needs. The problem is
traded for Solomon Thomas for some reason.
They did. Good for them, I guess. The point being is they've done a lot of work. I don't think there's any amount of work that they could do to justify taking a running back at 4th overall. And even if it means maybe you don't love Maui that much or you don't love the offensive lineman that much, okay, take whoever you think the best receiver is, because at least it's a receiver who also will help Cam Ward. And it's also a position that is going to be paid at still even being the 4th pick at a reasonable amount for being a receiver opposed to a running back. I understand how good the player is. I kind of agree with you where I feel like it's just too early for a team that is in their position, right? This isn't a team that was picking 4th because something catastrophic happened or whatever. They are picking 4th because they're bad, right? That's kind of what it comes down to. Speaking of the Giants, oh man, this one's really tough because I also think if Jeremiah Love does make it past the Titans, I don't think if you ask me right now that he makes it past the Giants. Mostly because they've been in on every running back related thing since the offseason kind of really kicked into gear. They're apparently in on Kenneth Walker. I think they sniffed around Travis Etienne. They had a 30 visit with Jeremiah Love, which I get there's 30 visits for 30 players, but if you are picking 5th overall and you bring in Jeremiah Love, it's only because you think you might be considering taking him at 5 because you're not taking him anywhere else in the draft unless you trade down and no one else takes him in front of you. I think it's a real possibility.
Yeah.
Am I going to do that? No. Because, again, I don't think that their offensive line is probably better than the Titans, especially because they brought Luminor back. And if Thomas is healthy, I think that it's going to be fine. But you have to focus on building an infrastructure around Jackson Dart if you want him to work out. Now, again, I'm very much on the fence about that being a possibility. Maybe a little bit of my pre-draft bias with him still, but a lot of what I saw from him is concerning last year, especially mostly the head injury stuff. See if he can get that cleaned up a little bit.
Self-inflicted head injuries.
Exactly. The reckless head not the Tua just can't land on the ground correctly for some reason, head injuries. It's I'm running head first into this linebacker head injuries. Which
do you think that's the question? Do you think protecting Dart will make him play like a normal human being, or do you think it just doesn't matter?
I don't think it really. I think it's up to him. I mean, obviously, the more you protect him, the less likely that even if he cleans himself his own stuff up, you still need to then protect him when he's not doing dumb stuff. But I think he's going to probably put himself in harm's way until he decides he's not going to. Right. So for me, if I'm sitting here at 5, I'm probably taking Carnell Tate and calling it a day. As much as Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't think is that great of a player ultimately, and he's a very specific player. You are losing him. That is a player you have to replace. Now, you're not replacing him with Carnell Tate in the sense it's going to be the same role. But I do think you look at that receiving weapon core, if you add Tate to this room with Malik Neighbors, you brought in Isaiah Likely.
Very good.
It could be really, really good. So I'm just going to take Tate here at 5.
All right. Well, if I'm the Browns, if we're gonna like even entertain this whole Shador thing for one more year,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regardless who's playing quarterback, we have to get protection.
Mm-hmm.
So top offensive lineman available on my board now that Maui is gone would be Spencer Fano.
Yeah, and he makes a lot of sense, I think, here, specifically because we've seen, even if I still think he can be a left tackle or a right tackle, specifically, I think the fact that he might be moving into the inside anyway, or at least looks like he can do that, as far in his center even, I think it makes it even more valuable to take a player like this if you're the Browns, because you just brought in a ton of new offensive linemen, and you kind of have to figure out where those guys are going to all slot in.
Yeah.
Having someone else that has that versatility will make that easier, right? Like if Ano just looks like the best player at center, great. If you want to try him there, if he looks like the best player like left or right guard or left or right tackle, awesome. Wherever, just play him somewhere.
Because like you brought in a bunch of guys for the Browns in the offensive line, but those guys were pretty much all free agents for a reason.
For the most part, yeah.
Like, are we sure that like Elton Jenkins is still good, or Titus Howard or Tevin Jenkins? God,
the problem with Tevin Jenkins is not whether or not he's good; it's whether or not he plays, which is kind of the thing. So, like, because when he played last year, it was all right, but he didn't. So you run into that problem. So yeah, I think the Fano pick makes a lot of sense here. Commanders. We really never see this anymore in mocks because we kind of assume that he's going in the top 3 picks or so. But I think this is a team that, because they spent on edge already and don't necessarily need him to be a full-time edge player right away, they can kind of do different things with them. Arvell Reese makes a lot of sense here for the Commanders.
Yeah.
I think so. That one feels pretty easy in this situation. So, and we're up with the Saints.
And the Saints just spent big on running back.
They did.
I think they kind of believe that Jeremiah Love is not falling to them.
Right. That's why I think that ultimately happens. Obviously, in this case, he does. But I think with the contract they gave Travis Etienne, by the way, crazy that we only found this out now. But hey, whatever.
So with that, I am probably just running the card in for David Bailey here and calling it a day.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Taking a shot on one of the top edges here. Chiefs at 9. Now, again, Kenneth Walker here now. Otherwise, would have definitely considered Jeremiah Love here. I think if this is how the board falls, it comes down to 3 players for the Chiefs. Do they just think Caleb Downs is the best player on the board that they are able to take still, with Love not really being on the board anymore at this point, for them at least with the Walker signing? Do they take whoever they think the best receiver is, which at this point, if you're factoring in like injuries and stuff like that, for me would technically be Casey Concepcion, but I would probably go with Lemon for the Chiefs specifically. I think that's more the skill set they probably need. Or do you take whoever you think the best corner is on the board, when considering you have none of the corners that really started for you last year on the team right now, really? I think what they really want to do is get one of the edges because they think that one of Bain or Bailey or someone like that is going to be here, which we'll see if that's actually the case or not. Obviously, in our case, it's not. But I think given the board that I have right now, again, I haven't watched him fully yet. I feel like they're going to love what Downs might be able to offer them as just someone who can kind of clean up a lot of the stuff that might not be ideal that's going on in the secondary next year, depending on how the corners play, opposed to like a Mansour Delane or a Jamal McCoy. So I'm going to go Caleb Downs.
All right. So the Bengals. This is a tough one. Not really, but like, I don't know. Defense has been kind of picked apart here. All the top edges are gone, but like you kind of, and I don't know. You could go offensive line here because you could always go offensive line if you're the Bengals. But I think I'm gonna go with they did just sign John. I was gonna say Jonathan. Peter Woods would have made sense before the Jonathan Allen signing.
I mean, I think if you like Peter Woods enough still at 10, which I know a lot of people are souring on him for a host of reasons, but if you like him enough at 10, I think, at the end of the day, with Jonathan Allen, he's probably a 1-year player, not even a 2-year player with the contract he signed. Like, he is getting up there. I just wonder, you could easily do that, I feel like.
I just haven't. Yeah, we just got to add on the interior so bad, like for them. We got to make that defense at least competent. So yeah, we're gonna make Peter Woods here. He's the best defensive player available. Point.
All right, cool. And the Dolphins. So I think they're going to, even though they did what they did with the Waddle trade, I think their first pick at 11 is going to come down to the offensive line and the defensive line, specifically the edge position. And given where those two positions are right now, not ideal. I think if you get to this point, this is how the board's fallen. I wonder. See, they're a team that I think would take a chance on Monroe Freeling this high, because he fits that mold that the Packers love, with the big athletic tackles that just, like, at the end of the day, like, you don't see many guys that are built like this guy, right? Like, they love that type.
Yeah.
And, like, would I do that this early? No, but I could easily see them doing that. It's tough. Like, I think receiver is where I would go, right? I would take Lemon to them to be kind of that, like, do it all, like, slot type for them. At least give them something that they can rely on, even as early as this year with what they have going on. But I kind of don't feel like they're going to do that, even in this situation. But it's kind of hard for me not to just do that. So I'm going to do that.
I like it.
Yeah. So now Cowboys here.
Cowboys. So the Cowboys have been they've been playing musical chairs on their defensive line for like the last 18 months, like in an absurd way.
Yeah, in a way that's, like, actually, like, disgraceful, in my opinion.
And then apparently they were, like, in on Max Crosby and let him go. So I think they go edge here. And I think here is where you see Keldrick Falk come off the board, actually. I just think Jerry's going to be like, he's so big and he's so fast.
Yeah, he's definitely big. I don't know about the fast part.
Or at least the speed he plays, his play speed.
That's fair. I think Keldrick Falk is one of the most interesting players in this draft for me, because, like, I have a feeling, and this could change a little bit, obviously, because I still have to finish, like, solidifying linebackers and where I'm ranking them for next show, whenever we do that, and also corners and safeties. But I'm going to say that Falk is going to be somewhere in my top 50, but I can't guarantee that at this point, because I simply just don't know what position he should play, and not in, like, I think he can do all sorts of different things way. More of a, like, I'm not sure if there's a position he can play at his current weights and, like, profile where I'm going to like him a ton, is kind of my thing. And with a player like that, I feel better about ranking them a little bit lower, knowing that if they do figure it out at one position, it probably will be too low, instead of ranking them in the top, like, 30 and then them not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be, like, a round grade low on a player because of that than end up looking like a complete fool, which is what has happened to me in the past in certain situations. So
that's fair.
That's just my thought.
Yeah. Before you put the pick in, actually, if we were doing what the Cowboys would do at this pick,
yes,
I actually think I know who the pick would be.
Okay.
Zion Young.
Ooh. See, I like him more, but I still think this is, like, 10-ish picks too early at best.
Yeah,
but I agree that they would do it. Like,
they would the kind of trigger on him if they loved him.
Yeah,
like,
he's the kind of edge that they would like, though.
The off-field stuff,
right? That's true too. But he's also the type of player they would like. So
Yeah.
I'm good with either one. Like
Yeah, actually, Zion Young here. It's too early for what I would do, but this is what Jarrett would do.
That is true. That is true. I agree with that. The Rams up here. At some point, we're going to have to get Jeremiah Love off the board. It's not going to be here, obviously. But although, honestly, no, I like Kyron Williams a lot. But if they're trying to go for it, I mean, ejecting him in the offense would be something. I think this one has gotten really weird to me because I don't exactly know what the Rams think that they need. Because depending on how they feel about the tackle situation, right, with Havenstein retiring, and Warren McClendon apparently, and I didn't know this, apparently played really well whenever he got a chance to play over the past 2 years. It's not a huge sample size as far as I remember, but they might be fine with him like that because they've done this. Like they just draft offensive linemen not in the first round and then they're good somehow all the time. So maybe they don't need an offensive lineman. And then it's there's a lot of talk about the receivers with them because apparently Devontae Adams might be getting traded and they were interested in AJ Brown. Apparently that seems crazy to me a little bit. So did they take a receiver here? Maybe are they the team that is willing to take a chance on Jordan Tyson? Because if he's not healthy or whatever else, they're probably still going to be fine. It's not going to hurt them necessarily, but it could be a huge boon for them if he's really good. I'm kind of stuck on them at this point, but I think I ultimately, because of again the fact that they're in a position where they can take this swing and hope that it works out, I'm going to take Jordan Tyson at 13 here.
Fair.
So see if they can work that out. Ravens on the clock because they didn't trade this pick to your Las Vegas Raiders. Who do you have here for the Ravens?
I think this is interesting because with Minter at head coach, I think you see them going defense here. They also need help at wide receiver, but the guys that are available at wide receiver, I think, don't really give them what they need.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Delane here.
Yeah. Marlon Humphrey's probably on his way out. Not that he's mostly a slot player for them a lot of time, but still, he does inside out. I think Delane would make a lot of sense. All right, Bucks. To me,
could this be Love?
See, I was debating it because if you think about it, Mike Evans is gone. Now he's not a receiver, Love, but you're losing one of your best playmakers, obviously when he's healthy. Bucky Irving wasn't very good last year, and neither was really any of the running backs.
Yeah,
I think you could make an argument here that if they're trying to keep this window open to win, the offensive line is certainly good enough when it's healthy for this pick.
Yeah,
but this is still a team that now I know he's not making the draft decisions, but a lot of the time the draft decisions are partially based on what the coach wants. I can't imagine Todd Bowles wants to take a running back at 15 when his defense needs help. But in this situation, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure who you take here. I'll just say this: I have watched almost every linebacker that I'm going to watch for the linebacker show. I was going to watch a few today, and then I decided we weren't going to do the show today, so I held off. I'm not taking C.J. Allen here.
No, absolutely
I'm not taking, as much as I think he's a good player, including C.J. Allen, I'm not going to take Jacob Rodriguez this high.
No.
And if you're not taking linebacker here, edge is kind of picked. Keldrick Falk is not the type of edge this team needs. Just straight up, not that type. Even if you like him, he's not that type. Cassius Howe, I like. I don't think he's going in the top 15 with his measurements.
No,
just not going to happen. I just don't think so, because at least you could say the same thing with Bain, but he at least actually, one, is just a much better player, and two, plays the run like a devil. So he doesn't have those concerns at all. So you don't really have to worry about that. I think maybe they do just take the best player on the board.
I think either Love or Sadiq here makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I know they're very different players, but they did re-sign Kate Otten to a decent contract.
True.
So
and I don't think Bucky Irving in any way keeps you from taking Jeremiah Love.
No, and as much as I like Bucky, he had awesome rookie year. Last year, not so much. I think that you could justify it. This would just give you the ability to not have to wear him out too. You can play both these guys because they are very different. Irving is much more of that tough, hard-nosed runner, smaller player, but definitely much more of a honestly in between the tackles in a lot of ways runner than anything, especially with the Bucs so far. You let Love kind of make plays on the outside.
Yeah, and Love has split time his whole college career.
Yeah.
So like it might not be bad to have two guys.
Yeah, no harm in that at this point. I'm gonna do it. There we go. And we're up with the Jets. Now I have, by the way, I'm not going to tell you what to do this pick because I also wouldn't do this anyway. But I do have a theory around the 16th pick for the Jets right now that I think is kind of funny. But we'll talk about
it. Mel Kiper mocked?
What did he mock them? I didn't look.
Simpson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because here's my thinking, right? They spent all this money on the defense to get it up to like maybe an acceptable level. They have some pieces on offense at this point that they still have from last year. They're keeping Breece Hall around. The offensive line should be good. They brought Geno Smith in. I think what the plan could be here, and I would not like this for the Jets, just to be clear, but I think what could be brewing here a little bit is the coaching staff thinks we're going to get fired if we don't have a solid plan in place and don't look like a lot better team this year than we did last year. So you bring in a veteran. You hope that he's good enough with the pieces you added on defense and with what you get in the draft this year to get this team to like 6 or 7 wins and allow yourself to say, oh, well, we have a rookie quarterback we drafted last year that we were letting develop. I want it, like, let me see what I can do with them in 2027. It buys you that extra year. I really think that's what's going on with this potentially. Now, would I hate that again? Absolutely. Am I hoping they don't do that or they don't let this group do that? Yes. But I think it's possible.
Yeah, this is what the Jets would do.
Right, and that's my concern is like I think that this is possible. I don't actually believe it necessarily fully. I'm not just going to sit here and like stamp it right now. But if we start hearing a lot more rumors about it over the next month, don't be shocked by that.
And you do have the luxury of this being your second pick.
And you got 3 next year. Like there's a lot of like.
But then again, if you have 3 next year, is it irresponsible to use a pick on a quarterback here?
Yes.
Knowing you can get whatever quarterback you want next year because you have 3 first-round picks.
Yes, but that's my concern is I think this current staff doesn't know for sure that they're going to be around to make those.
To do that, true.
Year. So do they?
They would let the staff make this pick.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if they make this pick, it's only because no one stopped them from doing it. In my opinion, I think that someone should stop them from making that pick. Who's up high, whether it's the owner or whatever it is. I would not allow this to happen, but I think that this could be what they're angling to do. So, but I'm not saying I would take him here because I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either.
But
I do think he's going to go in the first round.
I think so too, but where is the question?
I think this.
This is an option.
What do they have at wide receiver right now?
So right now, it's a lot of the same that they've had. I don't believe they made any that I remember the significant additions via free agency. They did not, it looks like. So they did bring in Dylan Parham. Not for wide receiver.
Their wide receivers are
Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
Adonai Mitchell. Yeah. Kind of it, I think, after that.
No, we'll go Simpson.
Well, I hope that if there's any Jets fans out there, that I hope that we did not just curse you by making this happen in this mock. I apologize if we did. But
it does make sense. Like it is a very Jets pick.
The Jets pick, it's a regime that knows it's in trouble pick, which is unfortunately something we see all the time, especially with the Jets. So yeah, I'm just saying, I don't want them to do it. And if you're a Jets fan, I hope they don't do it. But you probably should prepare yourself just in case they do. That's all I'm saying. For the Lions here. They need left tackle, theoretically. Unless they think Penei Sewell can move to left tackle, which I'm sure he could because it's Penei Sewell. But do you want to do that? Also, I think there's that like random like guy they drafted like the 6th round however long ago that was like a developmental player from like I think the UK. People keep bringing up when they talk about this team, and I'm like, is he actually going to play for them? Is that do they like him that much? I don't know about that. But tackle could certainly be a major need here. I think if you're looking for like a pure left tackle, it's one of these three names: Proctor, Lomu, Freeling. To me, there's one that obviously feels and looks like a Lion. Would I take him here? I don't know. But if we're blending the like what we would do like position wise with what we think the team would do, I think Proctor's heavy consideration here. Just feels like
I think he's the. I think. I could see it.
Like that just feels like, or Freeling, another bigger body tackle. Like Lomu, I think I like the most of those three, especially as like a pure pass protector. But I don't know if he's really like necessarily the type of lineman that would fit here as well. At least with what I think the Lions would do, I'm probably just going to take Proctor and see how that goes for them. Vikings at 18, who I'm sure was hoping Jeremiah Love was going to keep falling, but not. So,
yeah, I think if Jeremiah Love makes it to 8, they're probably moving up.
They very well could, which I again don't think is going to happen. Which you could argue with that if you want. I honestly, Washington might take him at 7 if he does fall past the Titans and Giants. Like they were also apparently interested in running back, so we'll see. But the Vikings up here for you.
Yeah. So looking at what they got, this could be. I mean, the offensive line is okay.
If everyone is healthy, it should be good.
Yeah. I think probably go secondary here. I haven't watched the safeties enough yet to know if like Thieneman is worth taking at 18. However, it does feel right.
Yeah, Harrison Smith potentially out. More white boy inserted here. Oh,
yeah. It does. Yeah.
We'll go here's the thing. From what I've heard about him, which I've seen a little bit of him, I'm not considering to say that I've watched like any full tape on him, but by all accounts, pretty much everyone's like, dude, certifiably rocks. So hopefully that is the case for the Vikings if they do take him here. Panthers. So they kind of addressed a lot of the biggest things that were worrisome with them, and I want to double check. I believe that they brought in Rasheed Walker on a 1-year, $10 million deal to replace Kwani while he's out. So I like that for them because he's like that pure like pass protector type. Now, I'm not going to give you a ton in the run game and isn't like the best pass protector in the world or anything like that, but he is a capable one. So I like that. We talked about Jalen Phillips earlier already. Devin Lloyd, I mean, 3 years, $45 million for Devin Lloyd. In a time where Quay Walker's getting like $4 million less than that over the same period of time. No offense, though. That's good living if you're the Panthers. Like if you'd have told me they signed Devin Lloyd and Jalen Phillips for a combined $45 million a year, I'm like, oh, so they gave Lloyd 20 and gave Phillips 25. Like that's reasonable. I understand that. The fact that it didn't quite work out that way, like I think is okay still. But that's an awesome deal. They signed again plenty of linemen to kind of back up guys, make sure they're good to go there. I do think realistically, they're kind of going to go best player available here. And to me, in this situation, is that not maybe Kenyon Sadiq?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's totally reasonable. I like Casey Concepcion a lot. You know that.
But Sadiq here in that offense would be they'd have a lot of matchup problems.
That's the thing. Like I think as much as you could stick Concepcion in the slot for most of the time and just call it a day, I don't necessarily think that's the best thing to do with him long term. Like I think he obviously can play the slot and will play plenty of it. But I do think he's more of a Z, which is really what Coker probably is going to be for this team for the most part. I think that Sadiq makes a lot of sense here. Yeah. Cowboys back up on the clock. So you took Zion Young at 12, remember?
So I'm kind of leaning 2 different directions here.
Okay.
I think Jerry likes linebackers.
He does. He loves his linebackers.
They could use some help at linebacker. CJ Allen's not a bad pick here.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think CJ is a little early for CJ Allen personally.
Yeah.
But, with what they need, it's not the worst pick. Other direction they could go that I think would fit with the receivers they have, and still, they could go. Mekhi Lemon's still on the board, correct?
No, I took him at 11 because I decided to screw
Yeah.
what the Dolphins would actually do because they irritate me.
They could throw Surratt in here, but I just don't think Jerry would ever take Elijah Surratt.
No, not that early, I don't think.
I don't think he'd actually take any of those receivers.
Probably not. Maybe KC, Texas.
Yeah. But now we're gonna go CJ Allen here.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I to be fair, like again, not trying to do too many spoilers for linebacker show. Definitely more of a second round player for me. But I get it in this class. Like I think those guys are gonna get pushed up a little bit. My Steelers, which I didn't even realize or remember I would be picking for, which is funny. So if this is me, I'm probably taking Kevin Concepcion or Casey Concepcion. I know that they addressed receiver with Michael Pittman Jr. It's not that I don't care. Well, it's kind of that I don't care. I don't care a ton. I think that he is very useful, and I think he's going to be able to play a role for this team. But I think that in an offense that traditionally, and I'm assuming is going to continue to be this way, plays a lot of 11 personnel, a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Unless this is the time that Roman Wilson is going to get a chance to actually play football for this team, which I doubt at this point, unfortunately. They need someone that's not him, right? At the end of the day. They didn't add anyone else so far in free agency receiver. I don't think there's anyone they could really add at this point that would change my opinion of them doing this. I think it's a receiver if one of the receivers they like a lot is still here. And I think one of Kevin Concepcion or Omar Cooper Jr. is probably going to be my bet for this pick until otherwise, pretty much, until I see something that suggests otherwise. I'll take KC here at 21. And then this might be one of the easiest picks in the draft if it's available. Don't you think, Dalton?
We already know. Yeah.
We know. When we have, by the way, when we are part of, which can you actually talk about real quick again, Dalton? The
Epic Mock. So we'll be doing Epic Mock early April. We'll probably it'll be like the first Thursday in April or the 9th. We'll probably do a war room.
Yes.
Before that, even to get ready, possibly. But so we're gonna be mocking as the Los Angeles Chargers in a 3-day 7-round mock against 31 other podcasts.
Yes.
With the main podcast hosting the whole draft is Draft Professors. So it'll be a lot of fun, and we are gonna be jumping into the brains of Jim Harbaugh and his staff, which includes Mike McDaniel, which is
still so awesome.
Thing. Yeah,
still very fun. That one, Vega, you want to, if he's there.
Yeah, that's who we're taking.
Yeah, I cannot imagine it'll be anyone else if he's available. Eagles up at 23 here. This one's tough for me because I think there's a pick I'm going to make solely because I'm going to predict something. I think that they're going to take a receiver because they're going to trade A.J. Brown after the summer hits, and they can do it without losing $40 million. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
And in this case, if I'm taking one, for me, it's Omar Cooper Jr. So simple enough. I think that they're gonna move on. Well, not in this draft, but they'll have one to replace him for the next year, but they won't be able to use it till 2020. It's a whole thing. Point is, I think they want to keep this offense humming, and then you're going to need more receiver talent if they're going to get rid of A.J. Brown. So they take one here. Would have taken Sadiq maybe here if he was here as well, but just add playmaker in general. But we'll go Omar Cooper here.
I'm also going to look at wide receivers here for the Browns. Now,
kind of dried up a little bit
here. I mean, I like Surratt.
Yes.
But I also don't know if Surratt is too much like Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
It's kind of worrisome how much like Jerry Jeudy he is, which is not in a good way. Like, that's probably my worry. on like his floor. Denzel Boston would be interesting here. Honestly, at 24, I don't think it's too early to take him here.
I don't think it's too early. I think he also kind of is a receiver type of receiver they don't have, especially with Cedric Tillman kind of being unable to stay healthy. I think that Boston would make sense here from a style perspective.
I like it. Let's do it. Let's do Denzel Boston.
All right, Boston to Cleveland. Bears at 25. I've been thinking about this one for a minute because I knew I was going to have it. I think they just feel like if he's here, such a Keldrick Falk game.
Yeah,
he's just such a Dennis Allen edge. He just is. Like that. I feel like, even though, again, I don't know if I would do this, frankly, because I think they rely too much on these types of players, feels like a match made in heaven for them.
Yeah.
So,
assuming they don't just sign Cameron Jordan.
Right, which, the fakest 10-sack season of all time, for a player his age, at least. Bills, 26. Proud owners of DJ Moore now.
Yeah. We're going to stay on this D-line page here because, desperately need help up front.
You tell me Bradley Chubb isn't good enough for you at all?
Yeah. We're just going to hope that maybe Clemson just fucked things up too much. And we're just going to bank on TJ Parker's athleticism to make things happen.
Fair enough. I can understand that. Niners, 27. I think because we've let him last this long, and because I think he's the type of player that they would want to bring in, because Trent Williams seems not long for at least the Niners, if not the NFL in general. I think given the receiver board the way it is, and the fact they did bring in Mike Evans to kind of shore up that room for now, I think I'm going to go Monroe Freeling here for the upside. I like Lomu a lot. I do like him more right now, but I think he would be the type that they would target here to kind of be the Trent Williams successor. So go there. Texans, 28. What do we think here?
So I think this makes I don't know. You could go Lomu here and kick Ursary over to right tackle.
Yeah.
Or to guard. But I don't know. I don't know if I like any other linemen here. I don't know. I think you take Lomu here just because he's by far the best lineman on the board and call it a day.
Yeah, this could be also like a future pick because they did pick up Braden Smith to play right tackle this year. Like he could be a guy that gets to sit for a year.
Oh yeah, actually,
yes,
right. They did bring in somebody. No, man, don't do that because I do think Ursary is their franchise left tackle.
Gotcha. They could go after an interior player here to kind of round out their kick-ass defensive line.
Yeah,
that could be an option for sure.
If you can't make it work on offense, just give up even less points, and Caden McDonald would help do that.
Certainly give up less rushing yards. I'll tell you that much. Not that they give up a lot, but it'd be helpful.
Yeah. I think that's who my top D lineman is.
That's left, at least, I think. I know I had Hunter over him. I think he's the only one that's.
Yeah.
Caleb Banks is a weird one, by the way.
I had McDonald 2, Banks 3, Hunter 4.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, Caden McDonald, welcome to Houston. Now, this is a player that we've not forgotten about, but I think is one that is really hard to pin down until we see him test, hopefully, at his pro day and see what he looks like. If he's on the board 29 because of injury stuff, Jermon McCoy is going to be a Chief at 29. Like, that's going to happen, like, for sure. And, again, definitely could have been taken much earlier than this. I think, given his situation, though, it's possible that in a class that's, like, kind of already iffy with some of the guys with injuries anyway, that he will just fall a little bit. Like, that could certainly happen.
Also, we just haven't watched corners yet.
That, too. But, like, I do think, realistically, like, if we're drafting for what is going to happen a little bit here, I still think McCoy going this late is possible given the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
And then for Miami here, so at 11, I took Lemon as a reminder. So I did do the
I
thing
think
that they're probably not going to do, but whatever.
this is probably Terrell to continue the run on corners a little bit.
That would make a lot of sense for them. They don't have really anything in the secondary right now.
They are a BPA team.
They really are.
By
So
far.
and if that's the case, like I think that's totally fine. Like,
Yeah.
basically take your choice of either offensive lineman or corner here is probably what it is. Because like the edge room, like you could take like Nakeem Mesidor or someone like that. You could take someone in that range, but like if you're not a big fan of that,
Nakeem Mesidor would love that pick because then he doesn't have to move the family. He almost certainly already has
exactly because he's certainly almost exactly. You're right. Hey kids, no, we don't have to really move anywhere, guys. We're good.
What does your dad do for work? He's a professional college football player.
Yes, he's a professional college. You paid a lot of money to play college football. Can you imagine like the amount of like people in like 15 years they're gonna be like, oh, you know, what do you? I retired at 28. It's like, oh, what'd you do? It's like I played college football. Like not NFL, like you mean like pros? Like no, I played college football. It's like, oh, what? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, my name's Carson Beck. I played college football. Anyway,
speaking of which, I heard a theory on like what's eventually going to happen with the college teams, like the major college programs.
Oh, this should be good.
They're gonna the way to get around the whole making them employees thing would just to be basically detached from the schools altogether. So instead of having the Alabama Crimson Tide football team, you just have the Crimson Tide Football Club, and they rent Bryant-Denny Stadium out, and they play in their own like super league of like 30 other brands. And honestly, it would actually make sense.
There's a lot of ways that college football could choose to attack the situation. And there's not many that I think would convince me to like stop watching it for non-scouting reasons, but that would be one of them. I could not take a game between the Crimson Tide Football Club and the Buckeyes Football Club seriously, no matter how much you paid me to do so. There's no shot you could. I would not be.
Nothing else would change.
I just couldn't. You couldn't get me to do it. I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean football club? Is this fucking soccer? Get out of here. What are you talking about? I can't. I simply can't. So
it would just basically be them creating their own version of like the CHL.
And again, like, I just couldn't take it seriously. But I'm not saying you're wrong. But
it's insane. I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. I mean,
comical.
Yeah.
But hey, what are you gonna do? Speaking of guys with a family, we were talking about before. I think Akeem Mesidor actually makes a lot of sense for a team like the Patriots who just need actual like professional edge rushing, and because he's 25, he kind of already is that type of player. And they don't care that he's 25 because by the time he's 30, they're either going to be having a title or they're going to be kind of bad probably by then. So who cares?
Or one dark thought.
Okay.
Draft Caleb Lomu and move Will Campbell.
See, would I hate doing that? No. Are the Patriots going to do that? Assuredly not. Not whenever they took him as high as they did, and he was kind of fine most of the time, except for when it kind of mattered the most. I think they're going to give him a shot next year, but not a bad thought in general. And then we have the reigning Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks at 32.
So they can do just about anything here.
There's a lot of steam brewing for a certain player here because they didn't bring Kenneth Walker back, which, by the way, I thought was weird for a team that has as much space as they do and could have just at least tagged him and kept him around for another year.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit odd, but I'm going to trust the Seahawks because, they kind of just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
I just don't think we win the Super Bowl drafting Jadarian Price 32, and
probably not. I don't think I would necessarily do that either. Yeah. But I know that's been talked about a lot recently because of the Kenneth Walker thing.
And plus, like my RB2 is Jonah Coleman, and
Yeah, so
I
either
don't
way,
think he is a guy that you take in the
No,
first round. He's just not
certainly.
exciting enough of a back.
Certainly not. No.
I'm just not gonna. I mean, he's gonna be a really good, productive player in the NFL. I think.
I think so too. Yeah,
But yeah, you can't take him here.
Probably not. That could very, very easily turn into like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire situation.
Yeah.
Which, not saying that they're the same players, but like could easily turn into that very fast.
Yeah. I think this pick here, I think you could go pretty much. I think wide receiver makes a lot of sense. They didn't add anybody in free agency, did they?
No, they retained Shaheed, but Cooper Kupp is only getting older. So like you could definitely justify taking someone that might be able to replace him. They do have Torrey Horton, who played well before he got hurt last year. Like it's not like a need at this moment.
Actually, Surratt feels like the vibe here. It's route running.
He would make sense from a schematic standpoint and what they would be looking to replace eventually with Kupp.
And he would replace Kupp very well. And even before then, I think there's still a lot he can do for you.
Yeah, if they need him to, for sure. Yeah, like especially if Horton's not ready to take a step up as kind of that like other like speed threat receiver, Shaheed, whatever.
Horton is really.
They like him, and I thought he played pretty well when he was out there. Maybe it's just because he scored like 2 touchdowns on the Steelers. I don't know. Maybe that's not why I think that, but I don't know. We'll go Surratt here then, right?
Do it.
All right. Dalton gets his wish. He still gets Elijah Surratt in the first round. Woo.
Oh, yeah.
Love to see it. But all right, now that we're in the second round, I'll pick up the pace a little bit here. I think for the Jets, we've already taken Ty Simpson, and you took also Sonny Styles. So, one of the best players in the draft, and then one of the players in the draft.
You got the quarterback of your defense, and maybe the quarterback of your
offense. Maybe. Who? I think, given the situation that they're in at corner right now, which is like they brought in Nahshon Wright for a year, but it was for not very much money because I think teams are like wanting him to like be really good at taking the ball away another time in a row, because it was really one time. And granted, the Jets should sign guys like Nahshon Wright because they had, again, a real stat: 0 interceptions last year. 0 interceptions. I'm sorry, I still think it's fake. I think that they messed up something. Someone had to have intercepted a pass on the Jets last year. We just didn't notice or something. It feels impossible. Like, I understand like quarterbacks are getting more and more good at, for the most part, at taking care of the football. How could you possibly not intercept a pass at some point? I don't. It's the amount of times that the Steelers will accidentally intercept a pass for they do nothing really to actually like cause it, and they'll catch it anyway, and the Jets couldn't get one.
Yeah, it's incredible. With a defensive-minded head coach,
I might have fired everyone just because of that stat.
Correct.
Just because it feels like that's bad juju. You need to get that out of the building.
Yeah. Like
the first interception the Jets get this year, if they get one, they're gonna have to throw like a freaking sideline party or something.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many games it would be in a. I'm not doing this right now. We're doing the draft. Point is, I'm trying to say is I think going after the secondary makes a lot of sense for this team. They did bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick, who will be a Band-Aid situation, although he did sign an extension for 3 years, which. Okay, sure. I think specifically for like what Aaron Glenn is looking for, I think Colton Hood makes the most sense from what I've heard about him as like a fit for that type of defense. Is that kind of bigger press man type of corner? So we'll go Colton Hood here. On the clock, by the way, this is the pick that I think if you had to ask me right now where the Ty Simpson lottery ends up, I think this is a pick that could potentially.
I agree.
Or the Cardinals moving up to get to the first round.
This would make sense to take.
Yeah, because like if it doesn't work out, it was your second round pick, and you're probably gonna be bad. You can take someone next year if you really need to.
And you can play him right away because he probably does need to actually play.
Yeah, you have someone who can at least, if he's not ready to, like if he's legitimately not ready to play, then you have Brissett, who's like the ultimate stopgap quarterback of all time. So that's fine. But anyway.
Yeah. But we can't do that because the Jets decided to take him a 6.
Exactly. The Jets did. Yeah. Good job absolving yourself of any play.
I mean, I wouldn't do that, but like the Jets absolutely will.
Hey, I'm the one who made the argument. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I just think it's funny. Anyway.
All right. So what did we take earlier. We took
So we took at 3. I took Ruben Bain.
Ruben Bain. So I think again, this is a team that should just be going BPA, and that's Caleb Lomo.
Yeah, just get another tackle in here and see if you can. I mean, you can play him at left or right, or Parashons can play where. Like, just figure it out. Titans on the clock, 35. So you took Francis Malinois. You get offensive line help. Man, I don't like any of the receivers here, but I kind of want to take one, but I don't like them. That sucks. Isn't this? Do they not have? Yeah, they have. I think this might be going to a solid defense. I think he could really like a player like Jacob Rodriguez here. I think he could like him a lot to kind of be like his like de facto like Mike linebacker type for them. I think I'm going to do that here. And actually, unfortunately, I just got a message about something. I need to cut this thing a little bit short. So I'm glad we at least got the first round in, but I actually do got to go. Dalton, apologies there. But I'll definitely get back with you later. I'll talk to everyone else later. We'll see you guys again sometime soon. It might be before next Tuesday if we can find a time for everybody to get on and do linebackers before our next show on Tuesday. But I'm glad we at least got through the first round. My bad on that, but I just got a message about something. But I will see you guys.